You just clicked on the Mission Studios podcast where we talk
Caleb.
about a lot of stuff.
Caleb.
Please click the like and subscribe button.
Caleb,
So
you can stop now.
what? I'm going on tour soon for this song.
Yeah, let's just get to the intro. Hey guys, and welcome to the second ever Mission Studios podcast. My name is Wesley Blevins, and with me in the studio today is Caleb Lehman.
Your stand-up comedian, at least that's what I was.
We're sitting down, Caleb.
Oh, so I'm a sit-down comedian.
Yeah, and also Autumn Lehman.
Hello.
This is her first
here.
podcast.
Yep.
Yeah,
All right, let's clap now!
Also, in case you guys were wondering, Caleb does not have any access to sound effects this time. You can thank me later.
Oh,
All right,
can I quickly say something?
Sure, go ahead.
So, everybody who's listening to, so if you were on VOP Choir Tour, if some of you guys might have just rolled your eyes when I was like, it's your stand-up comedian, because there were some people who...
No, nobody thought that, Caleb.
Are you...
At least you were standing up that time.
We got another stand-up comedian!
Hey! Okay, all right. So before we dive into this podcast, we have a couple announcements. First one being, if you haven't already listened to our last podcast, make sure to go listen to that. A lot of things, the plans we had at the time have changed, but it's amusing nonetheless to hear Caleb ramble and me try to stop him. Another announcement we have real quick here is our YouTube channel. If you have not already seen that, make sure to go check that out. It is just Mission Studios. So make sure to go check that out. We still have the website, though. So if you've seen the website, it's still there. We haven't taken it down, but we have a YouTube channel in addition to that. Another quick announcement here is if you have not seen our movie Brainstorm, make sure to go watch it.
Which has plenty of action.
Yeah, no, it has a good storyline.
No,
but
whoa, the action is really...
Okay.
no, it's the
Guys,
storyline
guys.
that's funny.
I thought we learned our lesson here.
Sorry.
No.
Anyway, make sure to go watch that. Also, if you have not read my new story, Messengers, thanks, Caleb. Make sure to go listen to that.
He still has his bodily sound effects, so
Yeah.
Exactly.
Is there a way we can take that from him?
I wish.
Whoa, what?
Yeah. Okay. Anyway.
Ow. That cut deep into my soul.
Okay.
Duct tape? Do we have duct tape?
Whoa, no. I'm good.
Okay.
I'll be quiet. Actually, no.
Show me you can be quiet.
I won't be quiet.
Yeah, I didn't think so. All right. So, moving on to the podcast. This podcast is entitled Success. So, we're going to be splitting this into two sections. The first one being just kind of establishing what success is in a physical standpoint, and then we're going to be moving on to what success is from a spiritual standpoint. As Christians, what is our interpretation of success? What does it mean to be successful in the Christian walk versus the physical walk? So our first question is, what do you think about when you think about success? Autumn, you want to hit us off with what do you think about when you think about success?
Okay, so success, I would define, just not going off of a dictionary definition. Health, having enough money and safety, yeah. Health, safety, and enough money.
I would say, just lots of money, or I'm a volleyball player, so coming from the sports side. Be quiet, Wesley. Being the best of the best, as far as that's how some people would define success when they're playing sports, to be the best of the best.
Yeah. When I think of success, I think of more of achieving a goal. I think a successful lifestyle plays into it, but I think when I think of success, I more think of okay, you set out to do something and then you actually do it. You know what I mean? You set out to win a volleyball game, like you were saying, Caleb, or whatever, and you win it. That would be success in my mind. Not really because I hate volleyball, but
In my mind, yeah.
Something better maybe like spike ball. But anyway, that would be success in my mind. And also making a difference. Making a difference is another thing that I think about when I think of success. The world is not as it originally was because of you. You had success and you changed the world. I mean, that's a really generic, big thing to say, but I'm just saying that's what I think about when I think of making success. But I do think there's a difference between having success and being successful. I think there's a difference between that. So yeah, I think you can have a successful lifestyle and not have particular success, which sounds really weird. But like I think success is more like achieving a goal, and then having a successful lifestyle would be more like, you know, living a lifestyle that changes people type of thing. Does that make sense? I don't know. I could be wrong about that. Like, what do you guys think about that?
Mm-hmm. And I think, too, it's hard for me when I define success to separate it completely. Just, like, something physical. Like, for me, I often, like, think of success in terms of spiritual success. So to chop all that off and think about it just in terms of, like, how the world would is really difficult. So it's hard for me to, like, define success.
Right. No, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
How the world would.
Caleb, do you have anything to say?
That was good.
Oh, what did you think?
Yeah. There's a sparkling water in front of me. I'm trying to work up the nerve to drink.
Okay.
Open it.
You open the lid. You like there's a little. Oh, dude! He just splattered water everywhere across our desk. Sparkling water, right? It's the death of real tasteful water.
That's actually not that bad.
Okay.
It's just a little.
And for those of you at home, Autumn is just drinking the sparkling water.
Literally, I opened this thing and it was like...
She's not too sure about it.
I don't know.
She doesn't know?
It's okay.
It's okay? Sorry. Okay. All right. Back on point.
It's actually not that bad.
No, that one's pretty good.
Yeah, the key lime's like the only
I don't like the pink
relatively okay. Yeah, I know. Anyway, okay, we're getting off topic. So, like, success from a, like, LaCroix standpoint, you know, it's just not having LaCroix's flavor. That would be success in my mind. Anyway, all right. So the Oxford Dictionary refers to success as the accomplishment of an aim or purpose. So that's the dictionary definition of success. But I think that there's a lot of different things that come into play with that. Next question is, where do goals come into play with success? This is a big question because if success is achieving a goal, then where do goals come into play with that? Can you have success without goals? I don't know. What do you guys think?
Goals are pretty important with success. Most people would have goals, and then achieving them would be their success. So in order to have success, they have to have goals, and then when they meet those goals, that's success to them. Having success without goals, I suppose it can happen. Some people have the life they never dreamed of. They had an idea about something, and it got bigger than they thought it would. Fame, whatever, happened by chance. That's success, and maybe they didn't have the goal to actually do that. But for the most part, in order to have success, you'd first need goals so that you can meet them.
Yeah, basically what she said. I mean, she's like stealing all my notes.
I'm sorry.
Are you looking over here?
Nope.
Because this is suspicious. Basically, I would say you can't really have success without goals. I mean, you can, but like what she said, like becoming famous accidentally, there would have been a goal involved. So yeah, that's what I would say. I mean, having goals helps a lot because, you know, you're like, if you can have an idea of kind of the big picture, it keeps you focused on the tasks at hand to achieve that.
Yeah, I would agree. I think it's kind of hard to have success, like at least the dictionary definition, to achieve a goal without having a goal. I think it's kind of impossible. But with success, I think it's a lot more than just achieving goals. Like I said, I think there's being successful and then there's success. I think it's almost two sides of the same coin. You can have success by achieving a goal, and then I think they're successful, whereas what the world looks on and sees and is like, oh, wow, that person's successful, even though you might not even be striving for anything. You might just be living your life and, you know, that type of thing. So I think there's a difference there. But I think it's like two sides of the same coin, basically. I think, and like you said, Caleb, I think goals serve as like motivators, more or less, for having success. I mean, like I think you can have a goal to be successful. That's where it gets interesting, because like if there's like two sides of the same coin, I think you can have a goal to be successful, and then you'll do different things to get successful, which it sounds really weird when I don't know what I'm saying. Never mind. Anyway, I'm doing hand motions and it's just not working. Another question would be, can success vary from person to person? So like, could my version of success differ from Caleb's version of success, or could Autumn's version of success differ from my version of success?
Absolutely, because everyone has their own views of success, their own dreams and desires, so it's just going to vary from person to person.
Right, yeah.
Like an example of that, my idea of success is shooting a really big buck. Wesley's idea of success.
Boo.
Hey,
Boo.
you're in the same family, so you know you get
I know.
baloney.
I mean, you already shot a buck. A big buck.
Alright, in 2020, I want to shoot another one.
I mean, when I think about shooting big bucks, I think about, yeah, there's all that meat. But then you spend like $500
I know.
to put it on the wall?
You can literally
What a
like
waste of
you can
money.
buy meat with all the money you spent on gear, guns,
What?
time, meat, mounting, all that above.
Actually, I don't think they sell deer meat, so.
You
Yeah,
can
you can't sell. You can't buy
well, you
deer
can
meat.
buy it from a friend.
Okay, Wesley's version of success is.
Oh,
What's
he
your
did.
version of success?
So from a physical standpoint.
Physical.
It depends. Like one thing I would say would be writing a story that like moves people, which I guess that's kind of spiritual too.
That
because, like,
is.
that goes into spiritual because like when I write a story, like I want it, like I give it to God, like I want His success, which we'll talk about later in the podcast. But I don't know. I would say success from a physical standpoint would be finishing a story at least, because I'm the type of person, I have so many ideas. I can literally think up a story from nothing. Like I can just like be walking and somebody goes, come up with a story, and I can come up with a story. That's not my problem. My story is my problem is actually writing the story. So when I actually finish a story that I started, that's a pretty big success for me because I have like hundreds and hundreds of half-finished stories on my computer that I never took the time to finish because I just kind of gave up halfway through just because I lost interest. So yeah, anyway. Yeah, and I agree. Success can definitely vary from person to person. I think absolutely. Like you said, Autumn, different people have different motivators, different people have different beliefs and all that. So I think it definitely varies from person to person. I think one example of that would be Hitler. His version of success was far different from everybody else's, and I mean evil, obviously, but what he would have viewed as success, other people would have been like what the. So anyway, yeah. Next question would be, what are some signs of success? What do you think you are like, okay, I hit success? Like, what are just some signs from a physical standpoint? You know, you can give examples or whatever. What's your version of? I'm expanding on this question too long. Go ahead.
Okay, so kind of going from the direction of what other people would define sign. I can't speak.
Success.
What other people would define as signs of success. Not really me. Followers, how many followers they have, likes like on social media.
That's a big one.
Fans, happiness, just if they're personally happy, having lots of money, stuff like that. And one thing that was interesting in looking up some quotes, I was trying to like search for like bad quotes about success because I was like, there has to be people out there who have a really bad view of success. And what I was actually finding is there is a lot of people who have a decent view on success. Like they define success as making a difference in other people's lives. And I mean, that's a good view of success. They're still viewing it apart from God. They want to make the difference for poverty.
Right.
Causes like that. But it was interesting. So there's a lot of people out there who would define success as helping other people.
Right. And I think you can still have positive success apart from God, but it's we'll talk about this later too in the podcast, but I think when you switch from physical success to spiritual success, you're switching your impact from a very small speck to a infinite line of eternity. You could be making a difference on this earth and helping people while making a difference with eternity. You can still have success physically, but I think it's very minimalized compared to spiritually. Because we're talking about eternity versus like 70 years.
Minimalized. Where'd you learn such big words? Do you do school?
Yes.
Whoa, me too.
No way. Okay, go ahead, Caleb. What do you have to say?
Basically, like, wealth, I don't know, coming from, like, a business person or something, like, success could be wealth or likes on YouTube if they make videos or views or something.
I would say achieving a goal, I mean, that's a very broad statement, but achieving a goal in like a positive way, you know, you achieve your goal. Again, that would be a dictionary definition of success, but that's a very broad statement. I think one thing, yeah, I agree, likes, that's a big thing. Like with social media, people like base their worth on how many likes or views they get. It's
Which
really,
is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's really
because-
ridiculous. But you can say that all you want, like oh, get a grip type of thing. But like it's hard a lot of times for people to realize like that is not their worth. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's a different podcast for a different time. But anyway,
Is it?
Maybe.
Oh, like talking about like your worth.
Yeah.
I mean, we could almost. Oh, never mind.
Anyway, I think another thing too would be like when people tell you, like if people look up to you as a role model, that would be successful. Like I said, these are just examples.
So like if someone's taller than you, it's like, whoa, I look
Yeah,
up to you.
height has absolutely nothing to do with success. I can say that because I'm
Well,
short.
some people might think it does.
Actually, that is true.
And that's the
You had to
wrong
get
view of
emotional
success.
about that one, Tor.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you know
yes.
Milton Hershey was only 5'7"?
I don't even know Milton Hershey.
You don't know who.
You don't know who Milton Hershey
I
is?
don't know. Hi, Milton
Hershey chocolate bar.
Are you listening? Oh. Wait, that chocolate bar is listening? Hi, chocolate bar. Okay.
Yeah,
I need to stop yelling in my mic. I'm getting too close.
Yeah, Milton Hershey. He was like 5'7", so.
I'm 5'7".
Milton Hershey made a big difference, and so it was saying.
Oh.
You don't need to be tall
Are you calling
to
me
be
short,
successful.
Autumn? I'm offended. No. I
Okay, why?
I like awkwardly staring at you.
I know. Didn't you just hear what she said?
Yeah, I did.
Like you don't. Never mind. I'm still in the sarcastic mood.
Yeah. This is gonna get interesting when we switch to spiritual.
Yo, this will.
No,
I'm
no,
gonna be like, yo, guys, I'm about ready to
All of a
preach a
sudden, Caleb
sermon.
just like Caleb's voice changes. Like, yeah. Okay, so when we talk about this from a spiritual standpoint, I believe that. Hallelujah! No, just kidding. No,
Hallelujah.
Okay, so we're now gonna be switching gears here to spiritual success. I guess our first question would be like, what's the difference between physical success and spiritual success, if I can speak?
Tongue twisters.
Yeah, that's a really big question, and I think that's basically the question for this whole segment, but I might as well just ask it right now, so go ahead.
Would you like to go first?
I want to say something.
Oh,
Go
go ahead,
ahead.
Caleb.
So when dealing with big words, there are some exercises now to loosen the tongue. The teeth, the lips, the tip of the tongue. The teeth, the lips, the tip of the tongue.
You know you're messing that up. You were still going the tip of the tongue.
The teeth, the lips, the tip of the tongue.
Right
the
there.
teeth, the lips, the tip of the
Oh,
tongue.
maybe not.
I'm slurring.
That was
I
good.
slur
That was
my
good.
lord.
Okay.
I slur my lord. The teeth,
You
the
know,
lips, the tip of
Caleb,
the I slur
when
my
you
lord.
talk
Okay,
with the
yeah,
lips.
sure. I'll go first now that
Tip-
I have
tip-
the
tip of
mic.
tongue. I don't know what I'm doing. What happened?
What did you do?
He muted her mic.
I'm back. Hi.
Yeah. So basically, physical success is almost like, how would I describe this? Like wealth or something. Like it doesn't last. Physical success doesn't
Right.
last. Like in the end, it's not gonna really matter unless you're impacting the world for Jesus. As with spiritual success is like the most important and matters. Wesley's writing
Keep
stuff
talking.
down.
Keep talking. I'm just taking notes.
Matters like a whole lot more. So
Both fear is. I don't know what I was gonna
Words. They're
Yes.
incredible invention.
say. Both physical success and spiritual success kind of have like an end goal, but they're like broadly different. Physical success, you want to have a certain lifestyle, maybe, and the lifestyle for physical success is going to be very different than spiritual success. So we kind of already talked about physical success and like what defines that. Spiritual success, I would just say, as a Christian, spiritual success would be growing in my relationship with God, and by the end of my life, there's that verse in the Bible that where God says well done, good and faithful servant. And that would be spiritual success to me. There's another quote too, I'm not sure. I have it on my phone. You talk and I'll get it up. Go ahead.
I just want to quickly say something. So as far as being like the well done verse and stuff like that. So it kind of plays into being the best of the best, but not really. As a physical, being the best of the best, being better than everybody else. As spiritual, being the best is being the best that you can be.
Yeah.
And not trying to be like, oh, I got to be better than him. Being the best, as good of a Christian as you can be.
Yeah, I agree.
And that quote, so this is by Leonard Ravenhill. 5 minutes inside eternity, and we will wish that we'd sacrificed more, wept more, loved more, grieved more, prayed more, sweated more. I have grieved twice. Okay.
You really want to emphasize on the grieved.
Yeah, and grieved more. I'll try this again. Leonard Ravenhill, 5 minutes inside eternity, and we will wish that we'd sacrificed more, wept more, loved more, prayed more, sweated more, and grieved more. And that was just a quote I heard a few weeks ago, and it really stuck with me. I don't want to, like, get to my deathbed and be saying, I wish I'd done more. Like, there could have been so much more. And I think, too, that's something we're all going to say.
Right.
I mean, you can only do so much, and we always wish we could have done more. But you don't want to get to that point and know you could have and you didn't. And so spiritual success would be doing all I can for God and not wasting those moments.
Yeah, I agree. And I think, like, so when you're establishing, like, physical success versus spiritual success, I think, so, like, goals, we'll talk about this a little bit later, but I think goals are a big part because in physical success, a lot of it is your goals. It's all my goals. I want to be successful. I want to be realized. It's a very selfish mentality. But in the Christian walk, I feel like it's not our goals. It's God's goals. So we might not even know or realize that we are achieving his goals until the other side. So the way we do that is by being sold out, having a relationship with him, listening to his spirit, obeying him, that kind of thing. You know what I mean? So he'll like lead us in the way we should go, and we might not even realize that we're having success because it's his goals, not our own goals. David didn't go out like, oh, I'm going to go kill a giant for God. He went out to bring food to his brothers, and then God was like, go slay this giant. He's like, oh, okay. I think it's the same way in our spiritual walk, that we need to have a deep relationship with God and really listen to what he's showing us. And he won't be like, okay, I want you, at the end of your life, you're going to have saved this amount of people and you're going to have done all this and all that. I think it's just listening to him, and he'll show us what we need to do when the time comes. Yeah, I would say that's, in my opinion, the biggest difference between spiritual and physical success. Sorry, what do you want to say, Caleb?
A song that is really cool is by Jason Gray. It's called Good to Be Alive. And there's some really, like, the words in the bridge are really cool. And it kind of goes along with what Autumn said. You know, being on your deathbed and be like, oh, I wish I would have done more.
Right.
So
And it's just a good song.
Exactly, it is.
One of
So
my
check it out.
favorites.
Jason Gray. It's called Good to Be Alive by Jason Gray. So
Not sponsored by Jason Gray, by the way.
exactly. I'm just saying. So I'm just gonna read the chorus and then the bridge, because that's so the chorus. It's, I want to live like there's no tomorrow, love like I'm on borrowed time. It's good to be alive. And then the bridge is, I won't take it for granted. I won't waste another second. All I want is to give you a life well lived to say thank you.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah. So any other comments?
I
about
have
this
another
question?
quote here
Okay.
by William Booth, who was the founder of the Salvation Army. Some men's ambition is art, some men's ambition is fame, some man's ambition is gold. My ambition is the souls of men. And that's kind of going along with the world has all these, we might have ideas about physical success, but God's success or God's desire for us is to save others.
Right.
And go after souls and share the gospel. That's the Great Commission.
Yeah.
To share the gospel with others. And that's really what success looks like.
Yeah. Yeah, God's version of success, like his goals for our life, will blow the physical success out of the water. And we might not even realize it, but like I said earlier, it's like a bazooka difference, because you're talking eternity versus what, like 70 years, which is like nothing. I mean, the Bible
Let's
says...
not even get started about trying to think about eternity.
Yeah,
exactly.
It literally is
I've
impossible.
tried to process
Yeah,
it.
I know.
Me too. It's like,
You have to...
It's like scary, because I'm like, eternity. Like, that means I have to be alive for that long. Like, kind of just want to, like, wouldn't it be just nice to, like, not have to, like,
Well,
be alive?
our
Like,
minds
But then we
can't
rest for a
comprehend.
little?
But once we get
once we
there,
get
it's
there-
gonna be like so amazing.
And I think too, like, you think about, like, you know, our relationship with God now and how, like, great it is and how refreshing it is to be just, like, sitting in
yes.
God's presence. Like, I'm sure you guys have experienced it, just like when you're sitting, all of a sudden you just, like, feel God's presence.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
of course, like, there's times, like, in my devotional life where I'll be like, okay, this is good, whatever. And then there's those times where I'll be like, whoa, God is, like, here right now. And imagine that, like, 24/7, but, like, way better. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
And I
That's
think
gonna
that's
be
what'll
amazing.
keep us, like, we want more and more and more and more, and it'll just go on forever, which is impossible for our human brains to
Right.
comprehend. But, yeah. Another question I just thought of was, so we were talking about, like, how, you know, physical success, how you were saying, Autumn, earlier, that a lot of it is still helping people. It's just not from a spiritual standpoint. So I have a question. Can physical success, can physical things like, you know, feeding the poor or helping the widow or whatever, like the Bible talks about, can that be spiritual? You know what I mean? If you do it from God's point of view, can it be spiritual? And I'm sure we all know it can be, but I'm just saying, what do you guys think about that? Because, like, it switches from physical to spiritual. What makes it switch?
Yeah, there's a lot of different organizations out there, and there's a lot who are there just to, you know, bring world poverty to an end and all those just causes and whatever. And then there's also a lot of organizations who seek to do the same thing, but while they are helping in natural disaster areas and bringing food boxes to people without enough food, they are also seeking to share the gospel and show others the love of Christ. And so they're both doing the same thing in a sense, but some of the organizations have something deeper that
Yeah.
they're trying to accomplish too.
They're making an impact on eternity versus just now.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think it's important too to do those things. You need to be helping people if you want them to listen. If you just go in there and tell someone, well, like, Jesus is going to make it all better, and, like, you need Jesus because, you know, everything gets better with Jesus.
As you
but
eat your lovely food and they're, like,
Yeah.
starving to death. You need to be safe.
there's more.
This is
Like,
delicious.
you need to actually show them.
Yeah.
It's not always it's not easy being a Christian, but
Right.
Jesus can, in a sense, make things better through you. Like,
Right.
You are
We're his hands and
called to show them and help them out. And they're not going to listen to you unless you are willing to get your hands dirty and be a
Yeah.
help.
Also, so there's generous people out there, like, who
Mm-hmm.
aren't Christians, but they kind of have, they tend to be generous or
Mm-hmm.
good people, but, like, you know, even if you're good, you're not going to go to heaven
Right.
without Christ.
Right.
But, like, it's possible that they gave to the poor or something with really just, oh, you know, these people, oh, I feel bad for them because they're rich, and I should just give them some money, and it helps them out. And to them, that's, oh, you know, I feel good about myself. You know,
Right.
I'm a good person. That's, like, success to them. But, like,
Right.
God can transition that to spiritual success. Because what if
Totally
that
agree, yeah.
sign of generosity, what if they're not Christians, they've kind of heard the gospel, probably not from this non-Christian person who gave them what they need or money, but that act by this non-Christian person kind of
gonna
pushes them.
impact them more.
Impacts them, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think a lot of, you know, a lot of people who do a lot of good, like you were saying, Caleb. I mean, I guess I'm just basically piggybacking on what you were saying, but I think a lot of it is from a, dare I say, selfish standpoint. Like, I feel
Right.
I feel guilty. I want to, you know, smooth my conscience over and feel better about myself because I gave to these people, so I'm good now. And I'm not saying it's all that way, and I'm not saying people realize that too. Some people might be that way and not even realize it. But I think when you do it from a Christian standpoint and you're really doing it with the Holy Spirit within you, I think, you know, Jesus did great things when he was on this earth. And I think he was a great example for what we should be like, what spiritual success is. You're helping people while you're helping people. You know what I mean? You're helping them two ways. And I think when you look at it that way, I think even a smile can have a eternity impact, which sounds weird, but
Yeah.
it's true.
I think, too, there's things you can do to make an impact on eternity, and helping people, smiling at people, like just a smile can have an impact on eternity, but also things that you do when you don't know if someone's watching you, just someone
Your integrity.
observing you, those can make an impact on people. So you have to make sure you're always living, not being a hypocrite, and because people notice that, and if you say one thing and live another, it's not going to be a good example or make an impact in the right way.
Yeah, I agree. Faith without action is nothing. Yeah, I totally agree. So another question would be, what should our goals be as a Christian? What are some things we should be aiming for as a Christian? Because like we established, Christian success is really achieving God's goals, not our own goals. But what are some things in the process that are givens that we should be striving for as Christians?
Just some practical goals I could think of would be having a good devotional life, making God a priority, that you are reading your Bible, praying, listening, meditating, all that stuff. And he has different plan for each person's life. Goals are going to look different. His goals are going to look different for every person. So having that time with him and making sure you're listening is going to be the start of figuring out what his goals are for your life.
Yeah, you don't know what his goals are unless you're listening.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Also, like, basically, like I said, try to get as close to God as you can in this life.
Yeah.
So that's basically, I guess, the ultimate goal.
I was listening to another podcast. I know.
Oh, no! That's a heresy.
Our podcast is definitely the most professional.
Yeah,
I'm not even gonna fake that. Sorry, go ahead on.
With apprenticeships, say you want to be a blacksmith or something, you can just
make a sword.
Yes. You can't just like spend a little time every day watching the blacksmith. You have to observe them all the time and be with them all the time, and you have to live the life they're living so that you can learn to be like them. And it's the same way with Jesus. You know, we are trying to become more like him, and that's what God is shaping us to be, more like Jesus.
Yeah.
And it's not just, a few minutes with him every day. Like, you need to build your life around him and spend time with him. You are only going to become what you think about and who you're with. You become more like the people you're with, so you need to be with Jesus more so that you can become like him.
Yeah, I totally agree. And one thing I've learned too in my walk with God, of course I don't have it all together, none of us are perfect, is that Christianity is a relationship and a lifestyle, not a religion. It's not something you say you believe. It's not something you know. It's not a theological thing. It is a obsession. It is a lifestyle. And of course, obsession goes with has a negative term to it. But if you think about somebody who's obsessed with God, somebody who's constantly thinking and talking about God, yeah, it's a lifestyle is what it comes down to. It's not just a religion.
Everyone's going to be obsessed with something.
Yeah.
You're always thinking about something.
Yeah.
And so might as well be obsessed with God.
Yeah, what
Exactly.
drives...
I was gonna say that,
What?
So, if you're gonna be obsessed with something, just why not be obsessed with God? I mean,
Yeah, literally the best thing out there. When your relationship with him is deepening and you get a drive for him and you have a deep love for him and enjoyment in him, then that will become your obsession. Where your heart is will become your obsession. Is it the things of the world or is it things of God? And I think that should be our goal as Christians, should be to seek him, listen to him, and really just be friends with him. It sounds kind of weird, but you would never know what a friend wants you to do if you don't know him. I mean, obviously, if you don't spend time with him, you won't get to know him and you won't know what he wants you to do.
what a better friend than Jesus? I mean,
All our sins and griefs to bear.
exactly.
What a privilege it is to carry.
Everything to God in prayer.
How did you all know my thought pattern?
I have no idea.
Psychics. All right, next question would be, what is the importance of spiritual goals and focus in our lives as Christians? What do you guys think about that?
Wesley?
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I would say striving for spiritual success, which, again, spiritual success is God's goals, not our own. But I think that is absolutely vital spiritually, because if we don't want what God wants us to do, if we don't want his will to happen in our lives, then we're going to be stubborn people who won't want to, he's going to work with somebody else. His ultimate will is going to win out in the end. And whether that's through us or somebody else, it's a blessing if it's through us. But if we're not willing to surrender to his will and his goals in our life, even if it looks different than what we want, he's going to use somebody else. And that's a shame, because we'll miss out on so much through the process. And I think without direction or focus in our lives spiritually, and just kind of drifting through life, and God's, yeah, I'm a Christian, I go to church, yeah, he's great, but he's really, when it comes down to it, you really just kind of push him to the side and aren't listening to him because you're afraid that he's going to tell you to change something you don't want to change. You're going to grow distant, and you're really not going to hear from him. So, I think a lot of people deal with this, because I know I dealt with that for a long time. I didn't want to change, so I pushed him away just enough that I was, not listening to him, but I still felt safe, when I thought about eternity, oh, yeah, heaven. But when it came down to it, I really didn't want to hear what he was telling me, but then I wanted to hear the good stuff. And so I'd be like, God, why aren't you speaking to me and stuff? And he showed me that it was because I was pushing him away. I wanted to keep him at an arm's distance, so I felt safe and didn't change, but I still felt comforted when I thought about eternity. So, yeah, I think that's what I would think when I think about goals and focus, because, again, it's God's goals, it's not our own goals. But what do you guys think about that?
That was really good, so I'm just gonna
okay.
agree with you.
Yeah, and I think something I've thought about recently is just in growing up as a younger kid, I was always like, when I reach 16, 18, 20, whatever, I'm just going to be like, I look at all these people who are already there, I'm like, well, they're just amazing.
Yeah.
And then, the closer I get to that, I'm realizing it's not just you hit that age and it's, all good. It's something you have to work on now, and you're never going to reach that point unless you work on it now. It's
right.
not like you hit 18 and you're just
a spiritual
ready
genius
for anything.
Yeah.
You need to work on it now. So that takes focus. You can't just push it aside.
Yeah.
Just be like, I'll reach that point one time.
Right.
You never will if you don't work on it. So spiritual goals and focus is very important if you want to get anywhere.
Yeah, I agree.
You'll be 18 in a year.
Okay.
6 months. Not quite for me.
Hold it. Wow. There's some old people.
I want to be the oldest one here.
Old.
Oh, you're so mature.
I know.
So mature.
I know, right?
When I
It's
grow
so
up, I'm
humble.
going to be just like you.
When I turn her age in 3 months, then I'll be so mature. No, I'm just kidding. Okay. Anyway,
Except
Caleb, do you
you're
have
a
anything
girl, so I don't.
Yeah,
I don't know.
girls have cooties. No, I'm just kidding. Okay.
I like being a boy.
Well, babies, I think the first thing you need to work on is stop talking like a baby.
Okay, I'll just talk.
Step number one.
Theoretically
to maturity,
speaking, when you
don't
duck.
talk like a baby.
No
Don't
way.
talk like this. Talk and
So when
talking like this is a sign of being young. And then you just talk like this,
So intellectually speaking, coming from a theoretical standpoint,
Should I take a picture of you, with your darky glasses?
absolutely not.
Yes, please.
All
You
right,
already did, didn't you?
Caleb, do you
Yes,
have
I did.
anything to add to this?
No, I think it was really good.
All right, great. Okay,
I don't
no,
know
that's
what
fine.
else
That's
to
fine.
say.
All right, next question, kind of piggybacking on the last question, would be: can we truly have spiritual success without goals or things we're striving for?
No.
Profound.
Wow.
I mean, seriously, think about it. You can't.
Well, again, I think too,
But
Like I keep saying-
spirituality is on another level.
Right. I think spiritual success is achieving God's goals. I keep saying that, but that's just the way I look at it. So
Right.
our focus and goal should be to be more like Jesus, to have a relationship with him and to really listen to what he's telling us.
It's that's another difference between spiritual success and physical success is some people can be successful by accident.
Yeah.
You just accidentally get rich or whatever. You weren't aiming for that. Some people just hit it big. And that can't really happen with spiritual success. You don't just accidentally be the best Christian there is, or
Yeah.
you don't just accidentally be brave enough to go be a missionary and
Yeah.
die for Christ. It doesn't just happen by accident. It's something that you have to work towards, and it's very important to have goals and to be striving for things, because spiritually you won't reach those unless you have those goals.
Yeah, I agree. Caleb, do you have anything to add?
No.
Okay.
I mean, that was profound.
Well said. So we're going to skip over a couple of the questions just for the sake of time. So our next question will be, what are the fruits of spiritual success? And of course, like we said, we never know. We might never see success, spiritual success on this side of heaven. But what are some fruits that God can really show us that, we're doing well? What do you guys think?
Yeah, so I was thinking about this earlier. So if you're living a successful Christian life, you're going to be joyful. Life is going to be more fulfilling. Like, yeah, that's basically what I was thinking.
Yeah, you'll be satisfied.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I simply think of the fruits of the Spirit.
Yeah.
Love,
Good
joy,
point.
peace,
Patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Love, joy, peace,
Caleb.
patience.
Not watermelons.
We're not going there
not
again.
grapes.
Okay, fine.
If you want to be a fruit, you're not a watermelon. I don't even remember how it goes.
If you want to... Never mind.
Okay, yeah, we're good.
Watermelon.
Yeah.
Watermelon.
Yeah, and with the fruits of the Spirit, like, on this side of heaven, we will always have things we need to grow in. But to people looking on, yeah, they will see the fruits of the Spirit if we're walking with God. And, yeah, of course, we're all on a journey, so none of us are perfect, or we wouldn't need Jesus. So it's that simple.
There's a lot of missionaries who served for years and years, and few converts. There wasn't much success physically, like, that they could see. They had planted those seeds. They had fruits of the Spirit, whatever.
Right.
They worked for years and years without seeing any success at all. But after they died, years later is when revival broke out. They'd planted those seeds.
Right.
And so sometimes we can't actually see that success.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I think, yeah, again, spiritual success, I feel like we will never see all of what God did through us on this side of heaven. If we are truly living in surrender to God's will, and we're really listening to Him, I think there is so much more that we don't realize that's going on.
And it's often the big things we see, and
Yeah.
we're like, whoa, that was so amazing.
Right.
But then there's all these smaller little things that might be even more amazing.
Right,
That
yeah.
you won't even see.
Yeah,
when
like
you
the
get to
heroes,
heaven.
like the heroes of the faith were lifted up because, I mean, they're still great, but I think they're humans just like us. They're no better than us. It's just that they did things that the world could see. We're all called to different things. So our last question here, similar to a question we had earlier, but this is just going to wrap it up. What are some goals we can set as Christians to aim for success, for spiritual success? What are some things we can aim for? Caleb, Autumn, somebody?
I guess I'll go. So, being the best Christian you can possibly be, or like try and grow as close to God as possible in your how many years of life that you have. Some people it's 20, some it's 25, some it's 75, some it's 95, some it's 105. Try to grow closer. Try to grow as close to God as possible in the amount of time that you have.
I think the goals for each person are going to look different.
Mm-hmm.
Again, just seek to spend time with God and become more like Him, and He will show you what His goals for your life are.
Yeah, I totally agree. There's this thing called a lead and a lag measure. Forgive me if I'm wrong on which one's which because I get them mixed up. But there's this thing called a lead and a lag measure. So an example that would be like, losing weight, right? So the lead measure to get there would be exercising, eating healthy, all that. And the lag measure would be losing weight. You step on the scale and the numbers are down. It would be ridiculous to step on the scale without doing any kind of working out all the time, being like, oh, did I lose it? Oh, I didn't. Oh, did I lose it? No, I didn't. You know what I mean?
You're probably gaining if you're not doing it.
Right, exactly. So your focus should be on the lead measure rather than the lag measure, and I believe it's the same when it comes to the spiritual walk. Like we were saying, we might never see what God did through us, and we might feel like, oh man, God never works through me. But if we are seeking God, if we are living for Him, if He is our obsession, if He is our lifestyle, we will have spiritual success, whether we see it or not. We might never see the lag measure. We need to focus on the lead measure. We all need to be like David. We need to be like men and women after God's own heart. You look at David's life. He was extremely successful. But I don't believe in his mind he went, okay, I'm going to be the king. I'm going to be great. I'm going to defeat a whole bunch of nations. No. I think he was a man after God's own heart. He loved God so much, and God loved him and worked through him. And I think we all need to be the same. So, yeah.
And,
go ahead.
We're not all, like, so when you say men and women, it sounds like grown-up people, but, like,
and kids. Yeah, the Bible says
Boys
not to
and
let
girls.
anybody look down on you because you're young, but to be an example.
Exactly.
So that wraps up this podcast, the second ever Mission Studios podcast.
Yeah.
This one's kind of long, so,
10 minutes to, like, almost an hour.
yeah. So forgive us for the rambling and all that.
Yeah.
But if you enjoyed this, make sure to share it with your friends, because that is the only way that we really get publicity is through word of mouth. Make sure to share. Also, actually, we sound like classic YouTubers, but like and subscribe.
Yes.
It does help a lot. Honestly, it does. It helps support us. Another thing, send us questions. If you guys have any questions you want us to answer on the next podcast or in the podcasts to come, send us your questions to our email. I don't have our email up right now, so if you look in the bio or the description of this podcast, I will have our email there. You can also find it on our website, and I believe you can find it on our YouTube channel as well, but I will have it in the description of this podcast. So send us your questions, and we will answer them if they're nice. Yeah, so make sure to check out our website if you haven't already, and that's about it. That wraps up our podcast. So thank you guys so much for listening. God bless, and if you enjoyed this podcast, again, make sure to like it.
And subscribe.
And share with your friends.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. Of course.
Okay.
Yeah, we need to end this.
Show,
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. All right.
All right, yeah. Hey, well, thank you guys for listening. God bless, and have a good rest of your life.
We're out.
Bye.